Perfect, great. Well, I am Therese from Inspired to Sew in Cedar Rapids, and I am so excited that you're joining me this morning. I have lots of new things to show you. We are still getting lots of fun new things in. I have some fun embroidery things to show you, as well as some quilt, and I'm going to give you an update on the mask supplies. So you will be in the know about everything. So feel free to ask any questions as you go through there. I know there's a little bit of a lag from what I'm saying to when I see the comments. So I will try to watch that and see and try to respond. If I don't respond live, we always go back through later on and respond to comments or contact you if there's something that you wanted that you saw. We're happy to contact you about that as well. So let me get started by showing you some new fabrics and a new pattern from Vanessa Christensen. Vanessa is the designer from V&Co, and she is actually a local designer. She's from here in the Cedar Rapids area, and she designs some beautiful fabrics. She really has done a lot of the ombre fabrics, and so she has a new collection out that's called Ombre Bloom, and I've got some quilts that I'll be showing you. I'm going to show you a new one that she has that she specifically designed for pre-cuts. So I know sometimes it's frustrating and difficult to see what fabrics are what, but all of her patterns are written with exactly the fabrics that she's using, and so you can reference that on our website. But the one I'm showing you today is actually done with a pre-cut, so it's even easier for you to do. So this quilt behind me right here is called Ombre Flower Bouquet, and this is the pattern there. So Ombre Flower Bouquet, and I'll do a little zoom down here so you can see how pretty that is. Isn't that lovely? So this actually is a really easy one to be able to get the fabrics for it because it's all cut from a jelly roll. So this jelly roll has all 32 fabrics in this collection are in there, and then you need the white background, and you need a little bit more of this green for the stems. Now this pattern has two different sizes that are in there. There's also a 56 by 56 size. The one that I have here is 56 by 70, so it's just adding another row on it. So if you wanted to do the square version, you could do that as well. But right over here, I want to show you, these are Vanessa's fabrics. This is the ombre collection, and there are several different styles in there. There is her classic ombre. I'm going to pull a couple of these out here so that you can see them. Let's see, what do we want to do? Let's do teal. I always like teal and purple. Those are always really pretty. So this is the classic ombre fabric, and so the ombre runs from selvage to selvage. So when you open this up, let me see if I can get back far enough so you can see this. It runs dark to light to dark. And I do have on the website the full picture of all of these fabrics so you can see how that looks. The Ombre Bloom line, let's see if this purple one is, take that pin out. The Ombre Bloom has these little like flowers, different flowers scattered throughout there, in addition to being that ombre. So this one fabric is gradiating from this dark purple end to the light at the fold, and then it does the same thing on the other side, so it goes back to the dark purple. So that's the Bloom collection. And then there's also the Ombre Confetti. And so the confetti is a lot of fun because it has metallic in it. So that gold is a metallic paint, and if you've never worked with metallics before, they really are just fine. You don't have to treat them differently at all. You can still launder them, wash them, dry them. So it's a really nice process for this. So this is the Ombre Metallic Confetti, and so this does the same thing where it starts at the dark, goes to the light, and then goes back to dark. So that's the Ombre Confetti. So she has 3 different collections that are out. The quilt that I showed you today is using just the Ombre Bloom collection. And so it is this jelly roll. Now we do have a limited supply of these jelly rolls in stock right now because typically they only cut these jelly rolls when the line first comes out. So when they're gone, they're gone. The ombre, typically the yardage, this stuff stays around a little bit longer because it is more of a basic collection, but they don't always recut the jelly rolls in our experience. So if you want to do this quilt, it's very easy. It's just the jelly roll, a little bit of extra yardage for the green, and then the white. And Vanessa uses the Kona white for the background on her pattern. So if you go to our website, it has all of the yardage that's printed on there, so it's easy for you to see how much yardage you need to get in addition to the jelly roll and the pattern. So that's all right there. Okay, moving on. Now I want to show you, last week when I showed you some fabric collections, I wanted to show you something cool that I had done online with the information from the company, and I couldn't get it to work live. So I got it to work later, but I wanted to show you as well in case you missed it or forgot to go back and look at it. So this is the, what is this called? Botany collection from Wyndham Fabrics. So if you go on to, and this is how you're gonna find all of the products that I'm talking about and all of the fabric lines that I'm talking about as well. So if you go to our website, let me go this way to see if there we go, the lighting is a little bit better that way. So if you go to our website, you can see how our banner is rotating through some of our favorite things that we're talking about. Oh my goodness, I need a instructor, I need a tutor to teach me this. I need to do practicing. So it goes through all of the banners, so you can look through all of the banners, and if you click on the banners, it'll take you to different event pages or different product pages that we're featuring. But what you really want to do is either look at that first page that comes up that talks about free freight, and you can just click on that banner, or you can go right up here anytime to the sewing supplies and just click on sewing supplies, and it'll take us right to that page. So in sewing supplies, if my finger will touch it the right way. In sewing supplies, I've put all of the featured fabric collections at the top. So if you just click on any of those, it'll take you right to that fabric collection. And then if you keep scrolling down, it's going to show you all of the featured products. I always put the things that I'm talking about right now up at the top, and then the stuff that is a little bit older, maybe things that we talked about last week, are down at the bottom, down a little bit further. So you can always find it. It's just, I try to put it in order of importance to what we're talking about that day. So you can find all of those things right there. And we are still doing curbside pickup if you'd like to do curbside pickup, or we're shipping anything for free. So I want to show you back to Botany. So if we click on Botany, it's going to scroll and it's going to take us to all of the Botany fabrics. So we click on one of these Botany fabrics, and it's going to take us to the details of that page. And right here, this picture, this is the cover of what I want to show you. So you just click on that, and it takes a little bit of time to load, especially my iPad is a little bit slower. But it'll load because it's got a really pretty file that's on here. So this is called a lookbook. And with this book, what I love about this is when I'm looking for a new project inspiration or fabric idea, I love to look through things like this because it gives you ideas of what you can do with this. So it tells you a little bit about the designer and how to access all of her information, and then goes through and shows you some different patterns. So lots of times there are quilt patterns, there's garment patterns in here. By Annie's does a lot of work with Wyndham Fabrics, so you can see inspiration ideas for here. Now, this is all lives right on this fabric page, but if you wanted to save that for later, you can just touch on your screen, just as simply as this, and right here, that little square with the arrow on it, you can click on that, and you can save this for later. So you could either email it to yourself, you could copy it to iBooks, you could add it to your reading list, add a bookmark, add to favorites, copy, whatever you want to do with that. So you can do all of these things. So this would be how you would save this for later, so you don't always have to go back to this one as well. So there's your little technical tip for the day as well of how to get around on our website and how to save patterns for another time. So hope you learned a little bit there. Okay, now I want to show you a quilt that I made with our friend Kay England's fabric. And I saw my friend Rhonda was watching before. I hope she's still watching, because this is Rhonda's next project that she's gonna do. Rhonda's self-proclaimed beginner sewer, but she could totally do this. So this is a quilt using Kay's Bricolage fabric, and this is a beautiful collection that has lots of navies and golds. I'm going to zoom in on this here a little bit so you can see this. So it has lots of navies and gold fabrics, a little bit of pink and cream in there. And this quilt is one that I made out of one of her books using the Bricolage fabric, and all done with the AccuQuilt cutter. So this is called Job's Tears, I believe is the name of the block. I think that's the name of the quilt too. So this is in Kay's Graceful Journey book. And it is, Solomon. Job's Tears medallion is this quilt. So this has this really great medallion in the center, and then it's got the blocks around the outside, and a perfect place for something like this border. Now, I talked about some of these border prints last time that we were together, and how taking a border print that has a more complex printing to it and applying it here makes it look a lot more difficult than it really was. So this is a border print that I cut extra wide, so it looks like it's actually two pieces here, but you can even see I still have the selvage on this fabric. I haven't even cut the selvage off of this, because I'll do that later after I do the quilting and before I square it up to put the binding on it. But this was one that I'm using all of the Bricolage fabric, and I put a couple of basics in there, and then a Wilmington basic print for the background of those blocks. So if you have an AccuQuilt cutter, this pattern was written traditional piecing, but you can use your AccuQuilt cutter for this. So if you have the AccuQuilt cutter and you would like to know what dies that you're going to use to create this block, order the book, send me an email. My email address is Therese@inspiredtosew.com, and my name is spelled Therese. Send me an email and I will send you the list of the dies that you need to make this quilt. This is one that I also did the mitered borders on, and I know that I've had a couple of people that have asked for wanting to see how you do mitered borders, so I will show you that sometime. I need to get by a good cutting station and show you the mitered borders and setting things on point. So I will be doing that in a later Facebook Live, or I might do that as a recorded one. We'll see how ambitious I feel about that one. But so that one is a really pretty quilt that I just wanted to show you. All right, now take you on another little tour through Inspired to Sew, because I have another quilt that I did with AccuQuilt. I get so much more done with AccuQuilt. We'll go this way. So I just have to share with you all the progress that we're making. So this quilt is a log cabin quilt that was done with the log cabin die. And I'll zoom this back a little bit so that you can see the whole quilt when it's in its completion. But I love this quilt because I was able to do all of the blocks and lay it out and try different variations with it. This is one that's a little bit muddy because I chose these grays and these kind of dark grays in there, but I thought it went really well with those bright fabrics. It really packed a bit of a punch to it. So this one is a lot of fun. This is one that we put together kits for, and I put this is a different border fabric. So the kits include all of the fabric for the center to make all of those center blocks on there. But I want to show you what I used for the backing of this quilt, because I think it's fabulous. So this fabric, this is an ombre fabric. So I should have called this live event just ombre, everything ombre. So this is an ombre fabric that's an extra wide backing fabric, and this gradiates all the way through the colors of the rainbow. And I'm actually using some of the leftover scraps to do the binding, so it's going to have this really awesome binding on here. So I'm going to just hold this up from selvage over. So it starts with your reds and goes into your oranges and yellows, and isn't this a lot of fun, just nice and bright? Flip it over so you can see it goes from yellows, then into the greens, into the blues, indigo, purple. So it's got all of the colors that are in there. So this is 108 inches wide backing fabric. And like I said, I'm using the scraps for the binding. One of the things that is a little bit different that's changed probably in the last about 7 to 10 years is extra wide backing fabrics used to be made with a different fabric. It was heavier weight, I feel like, and so you couldn't really then use that backing fabric for anything else. Now they're making them so that they are lighter weight, or they're similar to the fabric that you're putting on the top of your quilt, and so you can use them actually in a quilt, or you could use them for a binding of a quilt like I'm going to do. So it's really easy to be able to mix and match those fabrics around a little bit because of having that flexibility. I'm going to move this over here. So we do have kits made for this particular quilt. I'm going to go back here so you can see. So there is more of that full quilt finished, the full size one. And this is the kit that we have put together with all of those fabrics. So it's got lots of bright, fun fabrics here, and then the grays in there. Now, if you want something that's a little bit less muddy, maybe a little bit more of a contrast, you could certainly replace these grays with like a white or something that's lighter. So that could be something that, that could be added in there as well. Or you could even take and put all of the grays and the bright fabrics as like your dark fabric, and put the white as the opposite fabric to create a really unique look. So what we did with this is this one was actually cut to work with the die specifically for the log cabin die, but you can replace it and use it traditional cutting as well. I'm going to do a follow-up presentation that talks about different ways to use the log cabin die, because there's lots of different things that we can do with this as well. So that is that quilt. Now I want to show you, I'm going to go scoot it a little bit closer here. I want to show you some other fun things. So one of the other projects that I've been working on is you maybe have seen little friends like this. This is a little Kimber bear. So this is it's a design that you can download from Kimberbell, and it actually makes this whole bear. All you do is the construction of putting these little arms and legs and head on. You do that with your sewing machine, a little bit of handwork, not very much, but for the most part this is all done in the embroidery machine. So it even has his little face, has a little soft nose, a little mouth, eyeballs, and there's a little heart that's on here. So this is a project that was designed to help give these to fire stations, to police stations, to foster DHS workers, to help with giving comfort to kids. If you know me at all, you know that my husband and I did foster care, and having a little stuffed animal for our kids when they came home was a really great thing, a great experience, because they really don't come with much of anything. So it takes some time, and if you want to make one of these, what I'd like you to do is, if you purchase one of our Inspired to Sew USB sticks, I will load the designs on the USB stick for you. The designs are multi-formatted designs, so they'll work with any brand of machine. And you just need 1/4 yard of cuddle fabric. We have all of the cuddle fabrics on our website that we have, so you just need 1/4 yard to complete this little guy, plus a little bit of scraps for his heart and his nose. Now this is one that I did do, I added a little tag on the side of it, so I put one of my little boy's initials on there so that he knows that that's his, and then I used the cotton stuffing to stuff him, and I really like that cotton stuffing because it's got a little bit more weight than the polyester stuffing does, so I like that little bit of weighted to it. It's totally washable. This thing has been washed already probably 6 or 8 times. If it's around little kids, it has to absolutely be washable. And I'm going to show you, so for doing the face, anytime that you're embroidering on plush fabrics like this, you need to put some kind of a topper on there, because otherwise that stitching is all going to sink right in, and you're going to have the bits of plush fabric that are coming through the thread. So what you want to do is use either Badge Master or the Stitch H2O. So Stitch H2O is like the thickness of like saran wrap, and Badge Master is much thicker. So it's almost as thick as like a lightweight vinyl. It kind of reminds me of that. Both of these are water soluble stabilizers, so they will completely wash away, and you can tear it away a little bit from the edge too to remove some of the bulk. But either of these will work. We have both of these on our website. Stitch H2O comes in a couple of different sizes. The Badge Master just comes as one size. So this would be stuff that you would use on anything that's plush, like Minky or Cuddle or Fleece or I don't know, corduroy, anything that's got a plush finish to it. You want to use something like that on there. So that is a little bit of that stabilizer. Then I want to show you, let's see, what do we want to do next? Let's do this Wonky heart, since it's right here and kind of staring me in the eye. So this is a really fun die from AccuQuilt called the Wonky heart die, and this has a lot of different uses for it. So with this die, you can create this fun little block. You can also use this to do like a crazy patch die or crazy patch block. So this is what the die looks like when you cut through your fabric. So what's nice about this is when you pull this up, you have kind of this grid that it leaves behind, so you know exactly where those pieces are. I'm gonna set this down and pull it up so that I don't make a huge mess out of this all. So this is kind of like one of those shuffle type of blocks where you take your blocks and you can kind of see right here, these three pieces create the heart that is part of the Wonky heart die. So you would take these and you would shuffle them down to the next layer, and that creates the heart in that Wonky heart, and then the rest of it is the background. Now, piecing this together is really easy. It's actually sewn together like in rows. So the pattern tells you exactly which pieces to sew together into the rows, so it makes those things match up really nicely. But if you wanted to do this as more like a scrappy quilt, you just wouldn't define the heart part of it. You would just be able to go in here and put all sorts of different, we'll just replace a couple pieces here so you can kind of see. You wouldn't even know that it is a heart die if you just kind of move some things around a little bit here. So let me put this guy on here so you can kind of see how scrappy that would look. If we replaced those fabrics, just did it scrappy instead of trying to define the placement for the Wonky heart. Let's see, where could I put that guy? Here, we'll put this guy over here. So you can see how now you kind of lose the pattern of the heart, and you just get more of a scrappy look to it. So this is, I also have something, we're doing some cleaning here too. So I have this kit that we had put together. It was part of one of our mystery programs that we had done one time for a retreat, and I have one of these kits that you can make the little mug rug from, and you can make a whole quilt actually out of all of the fabrics that are in here. The first person that places an order for the Wonky heart die, you will get this kit for free. So I will include that as a thank you package, and it's a lot of fun. So that is the Wonky heart die. I'm trying to read this note. Jill wrote a love note on this mat that is very, oh yes, well-loved mat, ready to be retired and call a new mat into duty. So this is what a well-loved mat is going to look like. So this is one that you can tell, I mean, it's been used on both sides. It maybe already has some cracks. I can feel it like kind of warping as I mess around with it. So how do you know when it's time to replace your mat? If it's not cutting well, it's time to replace the mat. Similar to how do you know when it's time to replace your rotary cutting blade? When it's not cutting well, replace your rotary cutting blade. So this one is ready to be done. So this was its final its final hurrah, cutting this Storybook fabric, Storybook USA fabric Wonky heart die. Okay, let me show you some other fun things. See, we have to entertain ourselves here. So we leave love notes to each other all over the place. All right, so if you've got a little bit of time on your hands or you like to do some handwork, I've got a really great project that you can work on. This is the wool eggs pattern, and these create these adorable, these were done with wool felt and scraps of wool felt. This is done handwork, but there's all sorts of fun patterns that are included and designs that are included in this pattern. So this is the applique and embroidered wool eggs, and they are just stuffed with stuffing, and we do have all of the wool felt to do this, and you can use like the Aurifil wool thread. We carry that in small spools so you can get a nice color variety to that. So these are some of those wool eggs. Aren't those adorable? So that is applique and embroidered wool eggs. Now I also want to show you, this is a new embroidery collection that we have from Scissortail Stitches Stargazer. And this one, if you go and you look at this on our website, you can actually see all of, you can click on something and see all of the designs and all of the details. I know with having that black background that this isn't showing up really well. It's not focusing really well with having that black background, but you can download and see all of those. But what's unique about this design collection is it was designed to use glow-in-the-dark thread. And so we've got some new glow-in-the-dark thread. So this is something that's like a solar-powered thread. So the sun, you know, gives it the glowing capacity, and it's kind of got this like neon green hue to that. So we've got the, this is called Texlite Glow-in-the-Dark thread, and it is a polyester thread, so it's similar to like your Isacord thread as far as weight and type goes. So that's a really fun collection, Stargazer, that you can check out. Then I want to show you, I always love to show you something by Annie's. So this is the pattern called Clam Up, and this pattern has 5 different sizes that are in here. This is one that it does also have this little video tutorial, this little $5 add-on video tutorial. So what that means again is that there's a coupon code in here, so you can go to Annie's website, you can add this video tutorial to your cart, and then you can use the coupon code and it'll be a free download that you can download, and Annie walks you through all of the important steps of making this clam up bag. But this is a really fun little bag. You know, this is one that also doesn't include a whole lot of hardware. It has a zipper, and that's all the hardware that you need in it. It has these fun little, got little tabs that are in here, and kind of a little gusseted bag that's in here. So this uses the soft and stable interfacing like all of Annie's bags do, but this is another one that if you have some scraps left over, maybe from a bigger project, it would be perfect for the clam up bag. Then I have, this one is a little bit more involved. This one is called the Changing Station, and this has a little wrist strap for a little carrier that you can put wipes and diapers and all sorts of stuff in there, and then it has a removable changing pad on there. So there is actually Velcro on this changing pad, and I'm going to show you what I did with this. I modified it a little bit. So this is how, everything is all enclosed in this one thing here. So we've got the wrist strap here. It does have a handle on it as well. On the back side, we've got a little zippered pouch for easy access. So we've got a zippered pocket here. And then this is Velcro. So we Velcro that, flip this up, everything falls down on it, but I'm going to show you, start at the top here. So this, we've got a zippered pocket that has the mesh in there. We've got another zippered pocket that has the mesh in here. And then we have the actual changing pad. Now with this, you can see that this feels very nice. This is done with Cuddle fabric. I used a Minky or a Cuddle fabric to do this. You can also really easily see the quilting design that I did. I talked about this last time. You don't have to do a complex design for the quilting for the soft and stable. It can be something as simple as grid quilting, and this grid quilting is probably at least 2.5 inches apart from each other, so it's not anything that's super close together. And this has the Velcro here, so that can just Velcro off, so you can easily throw this part in the washing machine, or if you only need to take, you know, you don't need the whole changing pad, you just need to take your little wristlet with the essential supplies in it, you can just take it to go like that. So a very convertible option for you. So this is the changing station, and this all has the soft and stable in it as well, so that it is nice and sturdy. One of the things that I love about Annie's patterns is they're so smart, but one of the features especially that shows well in this pattern is that she has you sew these straight lines here, and that helps to encourage the fold of where you want it to go. So that line sewn through the soft and stable really helps to make that fold a little bit easier, so that every time that you fold this back up, it folds the way that you expect it to. So that's a changing station. Roll that the rest of the way back up. Just a couple more things I want to show you today. This is another really fun pattern. This is called Line Dance, and this is one that we have shown on our website, and this is a pattern that we have. This kit actually includes the pattern, and it was all done with a couple of jelly rolls or a couple of strip packs, and this is done with Kate England's collection Rhapsody in Reds. But this is that quilt. Isn't that lovely? I love, again, look at this. I'm drawn, this was not intentional, but look at the ombre effect in this one as well. I'm going to rename this one to be It's All About Ombre, because everything I've chosen today has something to do with ombre. So this incorporates, it's got the solid, the red, it's from Red Carpet is the collection of the solid or the printed reds, and then the Rhapsody in Reds are the printed, the white to the pink to the red fabric. So this is a really pretty quilt, and again, one of the things I love about the Wilmington pre-cuts is that they are all straight cut, so you don't have the pinked edges on there, and they all come packaged like this in plastic, so they're not going to be fraying. So even if you don't get to it tomorrow, it's going to look just as nice as it did the day that you got it. So that is, this kit includes all of the fabric to do the binding, the top, and the pattern are all included in this Line Dance kit. Okay, one more thing I want to show you. So this, okay, this is something that I've done for a lot of years. This is a fun way to kind of get my embroidery machine running. I know a lot of people are wondering, you know, what can I do with my embroidery machine, or I'm cleaning my sewing room, or I'm cutting something out. I always love to have my embroidery machine running because I'm getting twice as much done. Don't we love to multitask? We do so good at it. So I love to make lace on my embroidery machine. This is a pillowcase that I made that I put a lace insert in. And this is how you can make custom lace. So I first chose the fabric, and then I chose the thread to make the lace. So this is a collection from Zunt Designs, and I have two different collections to show you today. So this is Lace Trims 2, and you can see how it's got all of these different trims that are in there. So the one I used in this pillowcase is this one right here. So look at that, all of those different trims. What is that? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 different trims that are included in this collection. Most of these are pretty narrow, pretty small trims that are probably between, I don't know, 1/2 inch and 1 inch tall. And then I have another one that's called Lace Trims 1, and this one has larger patterns that are in there. So these guys are between probably 1.5 to 2.5 inches tall. Look at how pretty those are. So in this one, I am actually stitching out of this fabulous mustard thread. So I use Aurifil thread to do the stitching on all of my lace, because then I have cotton lace. Isn't that lovely? And it's so nice. So I use the 50 weight Aurifil thread because it's a finer thread, so I can still get all of my details. And what I did with this, so this one is actually, I did this in my jumbo hoop, and so I actually took the designs, because each design is actually this size. So it's got 5 of these little pieces on there. So I took this in my embroidery machine and I just laid them right next to each other, or right on top of each other. I used my zoom feature on my machine so that I got them overlapped correctly. And so that way then I'm able to stitch out these big long lines. Now, what am I going to do? How am I going to join these guys together? So before I do, so the next thing that I would do is cut these guys apart, and I would take them and use that exact same thread. And one of the features that's really great about these designs is that they give you kind of these little guidelines that are on here. Hold on, let me turn this the right way. There we go. So you got these little guidelines that are here that are going to show you where you're going to marry those up and overlap those at. Now this is sewn on aqua mesh stabilizer, so this is a water soluble stabilizer that will completely wash away, and it is kind of an opaque color, but I would just line these guys up, and I know you can't see this really good, but I can feel it good, and I can kind of see through this with a good light shining behind me. I'd be able to see that really well. And I would go through this and I would just stitch just along the top of this, because if you notice, the rest of these pieces are not actually connected to each other. There's a little, just a tiny little space there. So I don't need to actually stitch all the way down this. I just need to stitch up at the top here where those two are going to connect. Then after I have my all of my lace done, I could even put it onto my pillowcase before I've done anything with this stabilizer. But I precariously, I've been doing this whole thing with a bowl of water and I haven't spilled it. I mean, that's pretty amazing. Like, I haven't even spilled a drop of it. So now watch, I'm gonna like dump this all over the floor. But you take the lace that's stitched on the aqua mesh stabilizer and you put it in some water, and preferably it'd be warm water. This is kind of lukewarm or a little bit cool, so it'll take a little bit longer for that to dissolve, but you let this dissolve in the water. And depending on how stiff you want that lace, if you want there still to be a little bit of stiffness to it, you don't want to let it dissolve entirely. You want to leave a little bit in there, so you don't want it to be, don't let it soak for like a half hour. If you want it to be super soft and to not have any stabilizer in it, let it like walk away from it, let it soak for, you know, a half hour, 45 minutes, just walk away from it. And as we can see here, my stabilizer is just melting away. And I'm kind of encouraging it a little bit because this water really is cold. So you can see how that stabilizer is just disappearing. So now, and there still is a little bit in there. So if I want that to be softer, I will let it soak for longer. And then I will just leave that to dry, to air dry. And it will be this beautiful 100% cotton lace. Isn't that lovely? So what's great about this is that this is custom color, so you can choose whatever color of thread that you want. And again, I like to use the 50 weight Aurifil thread to do my lace designs. So you can have those kind of projects that are running in your embroidery machine, you know, while you're cleaning or sewing or cutting or whatever you want. So like, I have a whole bag full of this, you know, if I don't know what I want to do, make white, make ivory, make black. I mean, why not make black lace? That's cool. You know, choose the weird colors. Choose like salmon or teal. I mean, there's so many fabrics out there that you're going to find a fabric that'll match with the thread that you have, or match with the color that you really like. So you're not gonna, this is custom made lace here, folks. This is amazing stuff. So get your embroidery machine running. This is all using the aqua mesh stabilizer. So like I showed you, it is almost like a fabric stabilizer, and I do put a couple of layers on there because this is a really dense design. So it's going to take a long time. Don't be surprised when you fill that hoop up that it's going to be like, okay, see you in like 8 hours. Obviously you're gonna have to come back and change your bobbin thread and stuff, but it's a great way to keep your embroidery machine running all day long. All right, okay. Oh, I almost forgot. Oh my gosh. Masks. Let me give you an update on all things masks. So first off, elastic. We have elastic. We've secured elastic from one of our suppliers. It is coming into the supplier's warehouse later this week. And so then they just need to turn it around and get it back to us. Unfortunately, you know, everybody's working with kind of a skeleton crew, so it's taking a little bit longer to get things out to us than what it normally does. But we do have lots on order. We still are taking pre-orders. We've got plenty of the elastic on order, that you are welcome to go to our website and place an order for however much yardage that you'd like. Now, if you order 10,000 yards from me, I'll probably give you a call and we'll see make sure I can fill that for sure. But we do have lots of elastic that's coming. The other thing is interfacing. People have been asking about fusible interfacing. I did put a link to our fusible interfacing that we would recommend. It is kind of a mid-weight interfacing, so it adds a little bit of thickness to your fabric, but it's not super bulky like some of the really thick interfacings can be. So that is on there as well. It's a woven fusible interfacing. The other thing is that people are asking for what's the best kind of fabric to use. Really, batik fabrics would work out really great for masks because it is a tighter weave of fabric. They have to do a tighter weave for the dyeing process of the batik fabrics. So batik fabrics would be fabulous for doing masks, and they would be beautiful as well. So I would suggest batik fabrics. Let's see, what was the other question? Oh, the dyes. So AccuQuilt has come out with some dyes. How they originally were doing that was they were custom making these dyes one at a time, and of course the demand is way higher than what they can possibly fill. And so we do have just a couple of dyes left that are coming in. I do not have an ETA on that. It could be 2 weeks, it could be 3 weeks, it could be 4 weeks. I honestly cannot tell you an ETA on that. But I had just a couple of them on our website, so if you want to pre-order one of the ones that we have coming, I've already secured those. They're in the queue as of a few days ago, and so you'd get it faster by ordering it through there. But I have to take them down as soon as I've sold out of what we ordered, because they're not going to be able to fulfill anymore. I have inquired about getting a dye for like mass production that we could pre-cut these masks for you, and you could buy a kit of a pre-cut dye. So that is something that we are looking into. We certainly don't have all of the details on that one yet. So if you're interested in it, please email me or send us a message through Facebook Messenger so that we can contact you. Of course, we're going to be contacting everybody to let them know, when we have those available, if and when we have those available. So we just don't have a lot of really great answers for you on that. Just the demand has been so high for that. So we're doing our best. We'll try to continue to stay in touch with you and keep you updated about what's going on with that. We appreciate, as always, if you share this video to your quilting groups and to your friends. We'd love for them to be able to see what we're doing here at Inspired to Sew. And we will continue to be bringing you Facebook Live events, more videos, more pictures, more emails. Until then, we'll see you later. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.